Greetings! Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Welcome back as we look at another indie game. This time we're checking out Dust Raiders. This game was developed by Vixa Games, who also worked on the survival game Edge of Sanity, and is published by my friends at Playway SA. These guys need no introduction, as they've made some of the best simulation games on Steam, including Car Mechanic Simulator and the epic Gunsmith Simulator. Dust Raiders is what you get when you combine a Mad Max style car combat game with some RPG mechanics, some strategy, and a bit of base building for good measure. Now, while the game is an incredibly enjoyable adventure, I did run into my share of issues. In fact, the game is pretty rough around the edges. But despite this, I couldn't help but find myself returning to the game time and again. In fact, I'm 10 hours deep into the campaign. So, we are going to delve into the wasteland one more time, as I show you my progress in Dust Raiders. The campaign of Dust Raiders begins with our convoy being attacked by a local warlord called Sawblade. Now, while Sawblade does do a number on me and my crew, he made the mistake of leaving us alive. Now, I spent the last 10 hours building my strength and preparing to strike deeper into the wasteland. Now, Sawblade, he did destroy the only bridge leading out of the opening area, and I have now repaired that bridge so we can venture further beyond. Unfortunately, Sawblade's minions are in bigger numbers here, so we're going to need to be well prepared. What Sawblade did not count on is me having a very, very big crew of hardened drivers. So we're going to smoke all of his cronies, and we're going to take what belongs to us back. Now, the combat in the game is very, very intuitive. I really like it. It's simple. It's easy to pick up. You have a number of vehicles, all with their own special abilities. Oh, let's move out of the way. There appears to be a obstacle to the north. We need to avoid any obstacle we find, because many of them are insta-kill. So really want to avoid anything that's going to destroy our convoy in a single hit. But we smoked Sawblade's boys with very little effort. Let's go see what they were trying to get their hands on. Okay, so we have a herd. You've stumbled to struggle across a large herd of cattle in the wasteland. Now, unfortunately, the translation in the game is a bit hit and miss. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but for the large part, you can kind of get the gist of what the developer's trying to put out there in the story. Maybe that's putting it generously. They don't look like the black and white dairy cows from the picture books and colouring pages before the apocalypse. These ones are skinny, mangy, and glare from under their brows, as ready to gore you with their split horns. There are opportunities to make the most of this. Many enclaves are desperate for fresh meat, and no one needs to know that yesterday it had 5 hooves, 3 tails, or 2 heads. You just need to figure it out, although your people don't look like skilled cowboys. We have the choice of killing a few cows or herding them. Now, this is a no-brainer, because I know the cattle are worth a fortune. You spread out, shouting and hollering. The caravan vehicles break up the herd, and the crew throws ropes around the animals' necks. A few hours later, you have a decent-sized herd that you can sell for an unimaginable profit. And that is why Sawblade's people were in the region. We now have our hands on 6 cattle. And cattle in the post-apocalypse is worth more than gold. Crossing the bridge wasn't easy, and things will only get harder on the other side. Beyond the chasm lies a barren desert you know nothing about. Nobody from the refinery has ever made it this far, and other caravans have no reason to venture here. That's probably why Sawblade chose this place as the base for his gang. Wandering aimlessly across this vast expanse will only drain your fuel and leave you to die of exhaustion in the middle of nowhere. But even here, there must be people, and if there are people, they must have heard of the Hockers and their leader. All you have to do is find them and get them talking. Easier said than done. So we can now head for the first large settlement, the Bazaar. Now, settlements in this game are a safe haven where you can rest, restock, get more people, and buy more vehicles and guns. You can also visit the trader, and the game has a pretty simple, easy to pick up trading system. Buy low, sell high. So we're going to sell the livestock for a very healthy profit. And I'm also carting a bit of fertilizer, which we can sell here. And we can sell some water that I skimmed off the bandits. And also some tools. Looking good. Now finally I got my hands on some luxury goods. And big settlements like these love luxury goods. Look at this. Now I bought this for $70, 70 chips. And we're selling it for 110. You can have one. Actually, that's the best price I've seen so far. You can have both. Boom. Now, the game does show you what goods each settlement has. In this case, they have a surplus of food, which we are going to buy up. Buy low, sell high. And also some wheat. We'll get one. Good stuff. Now we're stocked up, we've done our trading, and we have a pretty healthy profit. We can go to the job board and see what we can pick up in the way of work. Now we have a mission to head to dry dock, and we're going to take that because that is a very nice reward. Now dry dock is back across the bridge, but I want to try and venture to dry dock because there's a couple of pieces of equipment I want to get my hands on along the way. The next stop on our trip north is the settlement of Plenty. Now while this doesn't have a lot of industry, it does have a big population with deep pockets. So we can do a lot of trade here and offload some of the goods we got along the way. Now they don't have a lot of waste, so I can offload a little bit of this. And we can buy some more parts, more scrap. And I can sell them some livestock, not too much though. I don't want to flood the market. Not too bad, not too bad. We're making a fair bit of money, a healthy profit. I'm going to offload some more fertilizer. Because where we're headed, we can actually buy more fertilizer. And what have we got Nothing really that seems interesting. We will refill before we go. Now, why am I headed north? And that is because there is a box factory that I would like to get working, because that will produce for us some really good goods for trade in the form of fertilizer. So let's see what we've got here. Not much in the way of jobs. It's pretty quiet. I've already passed through here. What I can do though is buy a ton of this fertilizer at a pretty good price. I'll buy all that. I can sell for nearly double that, and I can offload some of the cargo in the form of my cattle. And they got food. The food is pretty expensive. We'll buy water. Actually, no, we won't. I think we'll head on our way. What I was hoping for is parts. We're really, really looking for parts. Now, Last Haven is where we're headed. The box factory will create fertilizer, but I need parts. I've already got the scrap, I've got the chemicals, don't have the parts. So let's go to the trader. Ooh, and they do have some luxury goods. We're always going to buy these, because I can sell them at a pretty good profit. They're a pretty safe bet, as well as livestock. So we're going to buy those. Yeah. And can I offload anything? Not really. Let's head over to here. I see there's a warehouse we can raid. You don't like mutton, but meat is a luxury. Following the bleating, you come across a fenced-off area, a long-abandoned farm. Rusting metal fences and the ruins of an old building barely hold together. All that's left is a big shack and a herd of goats. As you draw closer, sharpening your machetes and drooling at the thought of a feast, something feels off. Among the herd stands a massive black goat. Horns like spears and eyes filled with malicious intelligence. Scattered across the ground are gnawed skeletons, alongside discarded weapons and armor. Sure, goats will eat anything but taking down harmed humans. Well, I guess I may not live to tell the tale, but your crew spreads out. Rounding up the animals, the herd retreats, but the black goat stands its ground. One of your men charges it. The goat dodges and charges, its horns tearing it through its stomach. He collapses screaming, guts spilling out. The rest of your crew looks at you hesitant. Well, I guess, in for a penny, in for a pound. No matter how tough the goat is, it's no match for a dozen hardened wastelanders. You hack it to pieces, then handle the rest of the herd, slaughtering some for meat and tying up the rest to sell to an enclave. Unfortunately, your injured crewmate doesn't survive the trip. So we did get a very, very good collectible. We did lose a member of the crew though, so I'm going to head back to Last Haven because we need fuel. And I'm going to go to the shelter, and I'm going to have to buy another crew member for 420. Can't make that up if you tried. So there goes all my profit, but them's the breaks are working in the wasteland. So we're going to go to the garage, and we're going to crew our vehicle with our new member. And I believe it might be a good time to refill and repair. Along the trail, as if afraid to take up space meant for those faster than them, a group of people trudges on foot. What strikes you first is that they're walking. No one in their right mind travels the wasteland on foot unless life has left them no other choice. It's hard to tell if they're from a forgotten settlement that ran out of water, an enclave destroyed by a gang, or just unlucky settlers who lost their vehicles. Whatever their story is, you realise the convoy has passed their path for a reason, and you might be able to benefit from it. People, the belongings they carry, and even knowledge of those who chase them away. There's value to be found. We can pick up an extra crew member here, which would have been really good because I just spent $420 purchasing a new member, so that is actually a really good find. It kind of somewhat offsets the horrible loss of one of my beloved crew members. And here in Dry Dock, we can claim our reward. Not too bad, not too bad. And we can go to the trader and see what... Ooh, yes, I'm going to buy those. More luxury goods. Don't mind if I do. And tools, tools, baby. We're getting all those. Now these guys are needing food, so let's sell them some food. Boom. They are needing cattle, of which we conveniently have plenty. Boom. And fertilizer. Not too bad, not too bad. That's a healthy sized profit. I can also sell some scrap. Let's just sell one. Looking good. So now we don't exactly have what I was after, which was the parts, but we're going to head back. Ooh, a wrecked convoy. Everyone knows you can't trust anyone on the trail, and even less so in an enclave, where the worst kind of snakes drive. Everyone knows this, but you thought fellow caravaneers were different. A tight-knit group where everyone helps everyone. That's why you stopped when you saw a few overturned vehicles from another convoy. Now as gangsters spring from behind the wreckage, you realise your naivety may cost you dearly. Well, problem is I always stay strapped, so I don't get clapped. And unfortunately for you, my friend, your tiny band of vehicles is going to be very quickly turned into scrap. Oh, we have some more obstacles headed into my way, so let's get... You just made a big mistake, my friend. Ooh. Well, 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 we got ourselves a flamethrower. Now that alone was worth the time. We have to head back to a settlement. And we'll head this way because that's a pretty heavily radiated area. Plenty is not too far from here. And guess what I'm doing? Ooh, I hear your decor is trash, but I didn't know it was that bad. Don't those heads on the wall start rotting? What the hell are you talking about? Those are trophies. Save the bedtime stories for the stone gangers. You haven't hit the trails in years. Not my problem. I've got a new addition to your collection. What the hell do I need a goat head for? What's next? A horsetail and rabbit foot? This ain't some goat. It's a mutated, murderous black goat. Took out a few of my men. Go ahead, ask around if you don't believe me. Your patrons will drink up your beer while listening to tales of this cursed beast. And you'll rake in a fortune. Fine, leave the damn thing and grab your fuel on the way out. Very, very nice. So, I don't like to put a price on human life, but I'm just saying that it cost me $400 to get a new Wastelander. And technically, we broke even. More than broke even. So let's have a look at trade. These guys have already got plenty of goods. I can offload some more waste. Scrap. Good price for scrap. Very, very good price. Primo. And I'm going to leave the livestock and everything else. Let's see what jobs we've got. We have one more enemy to take on, but I'm more interested in exploring the wasteland. So let's head over to the bazaar, back where we started. Refuel, repair. I don't feel like headed back to Moonshine yet, but I will take the job because we've got 10 days. Now I'm going to explore the area beyond the opening stretch as we get into the more dangerous parts of the wasteland. We're heading deeper into the Badlands than ever before, and I can only hope the preparations we've made are sufficient. But we haven't gotten far before we have a bunch of Sawblade's goons that have cut us off at the pass. Now I've got some new toys, and it's time to test them out. Chain guns, rocket launchers. Clever boy, dodged. And this isn't looking good. We're taking a fair bit of damage here. I'm a little worried. Just a little. Now, the problem is our vehicles aren't going to take much more of this punishment. Whew. Now we did get a very nice new weapon, but our vehicles also got a hell of a beating. So I'm going to limp back to Bazaar, and I'm going to pay the eye-watering repair bill. And I'm going to hope that doesn't happen again. We're looking for another settlement. And here we have Storks, one of the biggest ones. So we can go to the trader, and oh wow, look at this. Now this place being very remote has very good prices, particularly on fertilizer. Oh wow, that's nearly double what I'm paying for it. So I'm going to sell all my fertilizer. I'm going to sell tools as well. We'll give them all the tools, a bit of food, good pricing on food. And wow, look at this. They're after luxury goods and they're willing to pay top dollar, so you can have all my luxury goods. And we've made nearly 2 grand. That is a very, very profitable run. They're selling some waste cheap too, so we'll grab a bit of that. And a bit of food. Check the job boards. Nothing really jumps out at me. This would be a pretty nasty fight. Because I know that a fair fight is not going to be fair. So let's have a look around. What do we have here? Gutbuster. The black of the desert night is shattered by a toxic green and violet glow. There's music too, unfamiliar and aggressive. The kind that makes you want to kill someone or enjoy them physically. As you and the crew get closer, it hits you. It's a venue for horizontal refreshment, open to anyone from caravaneers and gangsters to wandering stragglers. Something feels off. Why do they call this place Gutbuster? You should probably steer clear of burritos, whatever that is, and the local refreshments. So we have a few choices here. Unwind and meet someone. I'm going to dodge that because I think there's enough disease going around the wasteland without me adding to it. I'm definitely not going to be eating any burritos from this place. And the third option I'm going to select just out of pure curiosity. So we apparently now have to find a newborn, their father, because I'm not going to leave a baby in the middle of the waste. It might be an uncaring world, but even I have standards. You look at the infant and know you can't hand it over to anyone. You never thought of yourself as sentimental or family oriented, but this moment changes everything. There's places you can check and men with eyes as green as this kid's. Well, I guess we'll check out this crate here. And of course, it's a trap. So we're going to have to pull out all the stops. It's going to be a pretty brutal fight. And we are going to have to be very careful here. But if we get our positioning just right, I reckon we can use the landscape to do most of the work for us. Now these guys are bad, they're dangerous, but when we have control of the same weapons they've got, well, that just evens the playing field. Fighting that flamethrower was probably the biggest advantage I could get. We took a few hits, but We came out successful. Let's head on back. What did you bring me? A kid? Get out of here with that. We've got age restrictions. He's got your eyes and everything else. Time to step up. You're not pinning that kid on me. You take him, or I'll shove this gun up your posterior, and then this kid won't have a father. Oh, and by the way, I'll be needing some gear afterward. So we've got some chips, got some luxuries. Not too bad, not too bad at all. We're going to make one last trip. I'm going to gear up. And we're going to head over here. Black Field. Lost stranger. No, you came here willingly and want to push on. You're a real madman. As for Sawblade, he's holed up with his crew past the canyon in the mountains to the southeast. If I were you, I wouldn't go there. Your cars aren't great. You'll run out of fuel halfway there or sooner. Between here and the mountains, there's no enclaves, just abandoned gas stations, scorpions and rattlesnakes. If you asked for my advice, which you won't because you're too stubborn, I'd say head to Trevor's place nearby. He's been battling the Hockers solo for years, knows his way around cars and might sell you one of his inventions. But we now have a new objective, which is to upgrade our car with a larger gas tank, something that is most welcome. But I'm going to leave it here, because I think this is enough to give you a bit of an idea on whether you want to try the game out for yourself. Now, like I said, I've spent a good 10 hours playing the game, and the gameplay is quite engaging and fun. I like the mix of trading, fighting, and exploration as well, but I know the game has a little bit of RNG involved, and it can be quite unforgiving at times. At times, the balance of the game can be a little bit out as well, but despite all this, I couldn't help but enjoy it. So it's a recommendation for me. Just realise it's a little bit of a rough diamond, and even though it is a post-apocalyptic game, you are going to have to do a lot of trading, a lot of bartering, and there is an element of base building as well. It's not just straight combat, but honestly, I think that's what makes me like the game more. So a big thank you to the guys at Playway, big thank you to the developers. Absolutely loved covering this game. I hope you enjoyed it too, and I hope you join me next time when we check out another indie game. Until then, Skill Incarnate, out.